Yeah, I mean, probably the place to start is Nicolas Jackson. What a 48 hours for that lad. I mean, you could do a documentary, I think, on that deal was on, it was off, it was on again. So Nicolas Jackson essentially had agreed a loan move to Bayern Munich on Saturday morning. He travelled to Munich to undergo a medical and complete that deal. And Chelsea were quite buoyant and bullish about the fact that they secured this 15 million euro loan fee for him with a fixed price obligation to buy at 65 million euros next summer, which is a significant fee for Nicolas Jackson. You can debate his quality, debate his talent. But you could certainly not argue that they've sold very well there, Chelsea. And then, of course, Liam Delap goes and gets himself injured. And suddenly, you sort of... I want to talk to when we have one of our guests on later. I want to talk to him about this because I think a lot of fans still think that, particularly in this era of, recruitment teams talking about we strategize months in advance and all this, and everything's planned, and we have plan A, plan B, and plan C. Chelsea had one injury to Liam Delap, and suddenly it triggers this almighty scramble where they say to Nico Jackson, "Sorry, you can't go to Munich." "Oh, what? You're not going to come back?" "Okay, we'll go to Mark Guiu at Sunderland." "Right, we'll get you back, but maybe we need Jackson as well, or maybe we could look for someone else." They go and have a look at Conrad Harder at Sporting Lisbon, but he's already 9/10 of the way to joining Red Bull Leipzig. And there's this sort of scramble in the final 48, 72 hours of the window that just strikes at the heart of this, just punctures this idea completely that these clubs have got this, plan A, plan B, plan C, and they just carefully, methodically organise it as things go on. But anyway, from Nico Jackson's point of view, that deal got revived on this morning. And I think what helped them there was because they'd essentially negotiated a deal before, it was easy enough to sort of say, right, well, we've got this kind of framework of where we were going to go. And actually, Chelsea have ended up getting 16.5 million euros, €1.5 million more as a loan fee. So this has ended up actually helping them financially more so than it would have done had the deal just gone through a normal on Saturday. So that's kind of been the big sort of situation with Chelsea.
What about Fermin Lopez? Because it was like the transfer equivalent of the hokey cokey. You're in, you're out, we'll bid for you, we'll not want you. What's the latest with that? Is it dead in the water now for Chelsea?
Yeah, it is, because they've done Buonanotte from Brighton, which is another sort of slightly odd deal, because that's, I spoke to, when that story broke, I spoke to somebody at Brighton very quickly who sort of said, look, we are only looking to loan him. We're not interested in a sale or a permanent deal at this point in time. So they've looked at Chelsea. We're obviously looking at Xavi Simons at Red Bull Leipzig. They've ended up saying, well, look, we're not prepared to meet the valuation which Spurs did. I think it was 60 million euros, and they've ended up letting him go to Spurs when it looked all summer really that Chelsea were leading the race for him. So they've looked at that number 10 position. They realised that Cole Palmer needs essentially an understudy. So they've looked at Buonanotte and thought, okay, 20-year-old, season-long loan, he can act as an understudy effectively. And then that might allow us to play João Pedro as a number 9, because he played as a number 10 on Saturday against Fulham, and it might revert him more to his natural position and maybe just take a little bit of the burden off Cole Palmer. But because of that situation, I don't see them now going for Fermin Lopez. I think there was only really ever an inquiry there, and from what I was told and what our Spanish lads sort of said at the other end of that deal, there didn't seem to be too much enthusiasm from the player, and not really from Barcelona to sell him. So I'm not sure that was ever really a viable option.